Insulin, if used properly in bodybuilding, or in short, you can just get absolutely freaking massive and pack on a bunch of weight. It is really, really fantastic for muscle growth, but obviously you have to use it properly.
Brandon, just don't do it. This is very dangerous and it's not worth it. Trust me. What's up guys, Freddy here from wolfphysique.com, and today we're talking about Brandon Harding and his stupid decision. For those who do not know, Brandon Harding is a bodybuilder. He's doing classic physique, and to be honest, he looks so good. I really think his physique is so nice. I like classic, alright? I like the physiques of classic, and I know that this guy, he can achieve a lot with his physique, trust me. He recently made a video. He's going to get on insulin. And while you're here, please comment down below for the sake of the algorithm, like the video, help push this video out so more people can benefit from this information. So because lots of guys are just, they think they have to do this and use insulin to gain a lot of muscle, but the ROI is just not worth it. You know, I do a lot of research on anabolics, etc. But this is something I do not really just wanted to make a video on, like, hey, do not use insulin. Why you should not use insulin for muscle growth, blah, blah, blah. For those who do not know what insulin is, trust me, I will explain it. So stay here and I will exactly explain why you should not do it, why it's very risky, and why it will not result in a lot of muscle growth, because it just won't. And some things of this video I will mention, it will truly make sense. Then you will think, that's why the bodybuilders eat the way they do. So often you heard low carb zealots, keto, the keto community say insulin is the enemy. Watch out for insulin, blah, 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 blah. We all need insulin, alright? So for those who do not know, insulin is a hormone that we create in our pancreas. Our pancreas releases the hormone insulin whenever we eat something. So people with type 1 diabetes do not make enough insulin and must give themselves insulin to stay alive. And people with type 2 diabetes don't use insulin efficiently, and this is called something insulin resistance. And eventually the people with insulin resistance do not make enough insulin to keep up with the body's demand. At this point, people with type 2 diabetes also need to take insulin. So insulin can be given by multiple injections every day via an insulin pump. And insulin pumps deliver insulin through a small tube that's inserted under the skin. So the side of the insulin pump must be changed every few days. But once the tube is in, someone who uses an insulin pump only needs to push a few buttons to deliver a dose of insulin. And the reason I know all this is because I have a good friend who is a diabetic, so I know that he's using insulin and I know how he's using it. But what you have to understand is, when we eat sugar, our body creates a surge of the feel-good brain chemicals, dopamine and serotonin. So immediately following, our pancreas kicks into gear, producing insulin to absorb the excess glucose and help regulate our blood. Once the insulin has done its job, our blood sugar drops again, so leaving us feeling cranky and drained. So our body creates more sugar to give it a temporary boost, and the cycle continues. Alright? So there are some things that's so dangerous about insulin use, and that's something called hypoglycemia and hypoglycemia occurs when there is not enough glucose in your blood. So it usually comes on suddenly and can happen after a hard workout or when you waited too long to eat. So strictly speaking, you're considered hypoglycemic when your blood glucose levels are less than 70 milligrams per deciliter. And one thing you also have to understand is your brain needs glucose to function properly. Low levels of blood sugar can lead to severe confusion and disorientation, seizures, loss of consciousness, coma, and even death. This is so, and he's even mentioning it himself.
Because as soon as you start diving into insulin usage or this kind of thing, you're almost entering like the dark arts of bodybuilding. You have to know what you're doing. So one thing,
if you do not know what you're doing, this is very dangerous. So I truly do not know why you're doing it. You have so much potential, Brandon. Trust me, you do not need insulin. Coming from a small guy compared to you, I can tell you. So most bodybuilders always think that if they do not use something that they haven't tried yet, that's the reason that you're not able to gain the muscle. At the end of the day, it's all about you having to stay patient. You have to stay patient. Muscle growth takes time, even if you are on gear. And trust me, if you keep training how you're training and do your current cycle how you're doing it right now, give it time. Just give it time. And do not get to things like this, because later in life you will regret it. But unlike hypoglycemia, you also have hyperglycemia. And that is when you have too much sugar in your blood. So this usually occurs slowly over the course of several hours or days. So when you leave this untreated, hyperglycemia can cause long-term complications, including problems in the extremities, your bones. You can have joint problems, nerve damage, blindness. Your kidneys can go to shit, and you are at risk for cardiovascular disease. So insulin helps with nutrient partitioning. And yes, nutrient partitioning is important for muscle growth. But I can tell you, it's just not worth it. The return on investment you can get from insulin is just not worth it. And if you just look up into the past, all the bodybuilders they have to weigh their rice and food to the grams, alright? To the grams. And you always thought, I have to do this because I want to gain muscle and I want to look like that guy. But at the end of the day, we all realized they were using anabolics. And it's not that when you use anabolics that getting a good physique is easy. There are more people looking like shit that use anabolics than people that use anabolics and look good. And next to that, a lot of bodybuilders also use insulin. And they have to know the exact grams of the carbs they consume because they need to know how much insulin they need. They do not want to get hypoglycemic and not hyperglycemic. So like I said, it all comes with risk. And the risks for insulin are just not worth it. So Brandon, please, when you're watching this, don't do it. Just don't do it. Trust me, you can gain a lot more muscle and get a very good physique if you just stay patient and not go to these extreme measures. It's not worth it. Guys, I hope you liked the video and you find it somewhat informative. If you liked the video, like it, subscribe, and for coaching down below. I see you next time, guys. Much love, and I love all of you.